We welcome you all inside Studio 12 in the south end zone of Kyle Field, and the Yell and Review returns with our Director of Athletics, Ross Bjork. We took a little summer hiatus. We had to get indoors. We had to get out of the heat. I mean, everybody had to take a little hiatus.
After that tour.
Yeah, that tour.
After that facility tour.
It was a sweaty tour.
Construction tour as well.
Well worth it now that
it was.
A lot of those facilities are coming online here. But always, we want to get back to this by reminding you, if you ever have a question for Ross, submit it at the official website of Texas A&M Athletics, 12thman.com/askross. So the Yell and Review returns. This is the August edition. This is game week for football. A lot, as we like to say, to unpack. But first of all, also it's Will Johnson. Most of all, good to see both of you again.
Good to see me.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember, like, Andrew's been slacking from Yell and Review.
Yeah.
Because now he's doing like 97 different podcasts, and he's got Vern Lundquist. He doesn't have time for us anymore because he's going big time.
Springs to get Vern.
He's going big time on us now.
Now I'm getting a little worried. Is this a big timer thing?
That's right.
I thought you were just busy. Yeah. I don't want to hear this. I don't have time for that Yell and Review anymore.
Actually, no. I think what we're doing to revamp all of our podcast material on on any place that you want to listen to a podcast, I think is great. And obviously Andrew does a great job just representing Texas A&M, and it's a way for people to stay connected to the athletic department in a much more meaningful way. And so I love the content that's going to be produced out of that. So we'll give him a hard time. If we don't see him, for a couple months, we know he's working.
So I'll tell Jimbo, Buzz, and Schloss, sorry, I can't travel because Ross
that's
says
right.
I have to.
Gotta be in studio.
But
it's football season. We know where he'll be.
That's true. Great point. But you know how much power it is when it says, "Hey, your director of athletics says I don't have to go."
Exactly.
Talk about an excused absence.
Right.
But no, busy summer. Glad to be back here in the south end zone of Kyle Field.
Yeah, good to get the Yell and Review going again. As always, Will Johnson, Andrew Monaco, Ross Bjork with you. And again, we use that word on this show. A lot to unpack. And since this is football's first game week, that is certainly the case here. We do have questions from the 12th man. We're going to get to that. But you think about Saturday night, 6 o'clock. First of all, for you, the staff and athletics, everybody, it's exciting to see the Aggies take the field, play an opponent, get 100,000 here. But we're getting down to the wire, and there's always a lot to do before that first home game.
Right. Anytime we start the football season, I'm just reminded that hosting a football game is really a campus and community partnership endeavor. There are so many facets, whether it's emergency management, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's traffic control, whether it's the concession provider, whether it's the Parsons Mounted Cavalry who does the cannon. I mean, you think about all the different, whether it's Aggie Park and there are so many elements. And the fact that we're facing some unprecedented weather situations that we'll talk about as well. You throw in those layers to it, and we have to rely on so many people to host this game day. We bring in almost 1,200 workers that are temporary game day staff as well. So I'm just reminded that it's a big production. We want to win, and that's a focus, and the game is really important. But the behind the scenes, just to operate the game, it's a massive undertaking, and we just can't thank our partners. We have so many partners in this endeavor that we appreciate the work that they do, and so I'm reminded of that piece. And then, okay, let's play. Like I think people are really excited about, hey, what does this team have to offer? The players are fired up. We've seen them talk about the chemistry and the culture that's been developed in the offseason. Let's carry that over to the field. So just a ton of excitement, and we'll get into some of those elements here.
Yeah, we're going to do that right now because we have our own topics here on the Yell and Review for this August. And first of all, just some game day reminders. They're always out there that people need to know as far as coming to Kyle Field on Saturday. Just game day reminders that kind of are staples each year.
Yeah, one of the things is technology, and we're lucky that we have a pretty robust wireless system, Wi-Fi system around Kyle Field, and so we want people to have the 12th Man mobile app, and we want them to download that. that now includes your tickets. Mm-hmm. That's been a new integration over the last couple of years. But making sure that they're downloading that app and so they can stay informed. And also, because we have new players on the team, you can look at the roster, those kind of things. So the app is just kind of a one-stop shopping for all things as well. And so we want people to have the 12th Man mobile app and download that, whatever device you may have.
You mentioned 12th Man mobile app has your tickets on there, the digital tickets. As far as tickets, 93,000 sold this year, including 39,000 of the 12th Man over in that student section. That's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. And again, it just speaks to the passion and how much people care around this program. And we'll talk about the students here in a second. But you think about, our renewal rate was around 94%. And that's coming off a 5-7 season. And then we sell all the new season ticket packages that people bought. And we started kind of seeing this back in June, that we might be trending towards a sellout number for this season. And when we hit that mark, it's the second highest number since Kyle Field was redeveloped, right after the 2015 season. So the 2016 year was the highest number ever. So this is the second highest season ticket number ever sold. When you add in some of our internal tickets and student-athlete tickets, recruiting tickets, staff tickets, we're about 96,000 tickets distributed. Sold 93,000, and then about 96,000 tickets distributed before we ever have to sell a visiting team ticket, a single game ticket if those remain, and then you just think about the student body. We were out at Ticket Pull yesterday handing out some tacos, and the tacos went in about 30 seconds. We didn't quite have enough, thanks to Costa Vida for providing those tacos. But it's amazing. They're out there. There's a young man, Walker, who started lining up last Wednesday, and he's camping out, waiting to be first in line for Ticket Pull yesterday morning. So selling 39,000 student tickets, largest student body season ticket base in the country. I don't even know if anyone's even close. I'm not sure anybody's even over 30,000, let alone 39,000. So to have that passion, to have that spirit, again, it just captures what this place is all about. And Ticket Pull will be going on all week. I think Monday we pulled over 14,000 tickets, which beat the Miami game last year on a single day. So just a lot of excitement and bottled up energy. I think let's let the lid off. Saturday. I think it's going to be awesome at 6 o'clock.
That's the thing. It's going to be loud, and that's how we like it.
That's
right.
Exactly right.
What's new at Kyle Field this year? I mentioned those staples, those game day reminders, but there's always something new with the kickoff of a home season when it comes to football.
Yeah, you're always tweaking things. You're always adding new features. There's new technology that comes along, whatever it might be. And so there are some new things that we want to make sure that people are aware of. And a lot of this will be communicated on all kinds of different platforms throughout the week. But we have some new technology around concession sales. So there's a technology called Mashgin, Mashgin. Not sure where that name came from. It's the name of the company. But these are really efficient checkout kiosks, if you will. You walk into an area and you grab a bottle of water, some peanuts, popcorn, M&Ms, whatever it might be. You set it flat on this unit. There's a scanner above it. It reads all the codes on it, and it comes up with your price. And then you swipe your credit card or tap it, whatever it might be, your debit card, grab your items, and you walk away. And so we've got these throughout the. Trying to see if it says how many we have. It doesn't say the exact number, but there's one in section 115, and so it's kind of a grab and go style. And so we're going to have these out there this year. And again, last year we did the March in, March out, which is the Amazon technology. Those are still in place, and those were a big hit. This is another layer of technology, and we'll continue to roll these things out. We also have some new food options. So we've got Funnel Tunnel,
Love it.
Do we know what that is?
Funnel
Love
cake.
it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Funnel cakes. You can't,
If I
can't
smell
go,
that near me, I'm going to
I
be up
know.
in the stands during the
May
game.
have to have
I
a
don't blame you.
sideline.
Yeah.
I'll send
Sideline
you.
delivery.
I'll send you and Dave
Yeah.
a couple.
Okay. Appreciate that.
We have a great partnership in Costa Vida on many fronts, and they're going to be in the All-American Club and in the yard up on the 7th level doing some of their custom nachos. And then we've added some new corn dog locations as well. And so the food options continue to evolve. And I think what people want is they want something efficient and fast, and they also want quality. And Levy does a great job in all those categories, and so that we'll see some new food options as well. We've also got the alcohol and the beer category around college athletics has really evolved, I think, over the last 10 years. And the SEC put in a new policy back in 2019 where we could sell beer and wine in the stadium, in the entire stadium. It used to be limited a lot of places just to the clubs and the suites. So it got opened up in 2019. And so you've seen this evolution. And so there's two changes around alcohol, and of course we're going to promote responsible drinking and being cognizant of all those things. But we have a new beer partnership with Molson Coors, so you'll see a lot of branded Coors Light. Twisted Tea is one of their products. We're also rolling out a new 12th Man beer as well. That'll come later this fall. So a great new partnership with Molson Coors, and Kristen Distributor is our local distributing partner. So you'll see a lot of elements around the concourse, video board recognitions, those kind of things around that partnership. And then this year, we changed another rule within the SEC that we can actually sell alcohol throughout the stadium. It used to be only beer and wine. And again, it's got to be safe, but it's the evolution of concessions. It's the evolution of fan experience. And so we'll have what's called tended bars. And it's really an automated system where you show your ID, you get a cup of ice, and you can go up and really blend your own custom mixed drink. And we'll have caps on that. And so, again, it's a safe situation, but people will see tended bars is what they're called. That's the brand name. And it's really the size of like a mini food truck, if you will. There'll be 5 of those locations around Kyle Field as well. And then a really cool feature is there's 16 new American flags that are going to be in the Northeast and Northwest activation towers honoring those Aggies who passed away in World War I. People may or may not realize that 55 flags that are in the North and South end zone recognize those who lost their lives in World War I. There's a discovery where there's 16 more Aggies who died in World War I. And so adding these flags, really it's a university project. Kyle Field happens to be the host, but the university initiative came together, so people will see those as well. And then what everybody's been talking about, the new team entrance. We are not going to give away a lot of details on this Yellen review. We want people to show up and be there a little bit before 6 o'clock when the team runs out onto the field. And I think people are going to be really excited. I know our players are excited. There's new features to it, but also some traditional elements as well. And so basically just show up at 6.
Yeah.
So let's but a lot of people, for whatever reason, have been focused on this. Why is this such a big deal? I don't understand. That the team entrance at Kyle Field is a really, really big deal.
It's interesting.
So it's been the talk of the offseason.
It has been.
Right.
And, Anais and Damani were asked about
They
it.
were asked about it
Monday in the
yesterday
media,
in the
so-
press conference. So, but no, it just, again, another reason why people care. And our team has done a great job of building this out. And there's been some people that have had a sneak peek of it. And, again, a lot of excitement among the players, among our staff. So let's roll it out on Saturday and see what happens.
Now that's for the beginning of the game. As far as when the game ends, there's new rules in case of an Aggie victory about rushing the field. Now this has changed.
Yeah, I think I've got this right. There's only been 4 times in the history of Aggie football where fans, because of a victory, have stormed the field. 3 of those have happened since 2018. The LSU game in 2018, the Alabama game in 2021, and then last year's LSU game.
Mm-hmm.
And look, a lot of celebration. Those were big moments. I mean, 7 overtime game, knocking off number 1 Alabama. Big deal, right? And so we understand it, but we've got to be – the first thing is safety, the safety of fans. We had fans get hurt, in those instances. And so the conference came up with a new policy, a new rule where the fines are now reset, and they're reset at a higher level. And the fine actually goes to the visiting team. So if you storm the field and you're playing name the opponent, that opponent gets the check. $100,000, $250,000, and $500,000. First, second, third offense. And then once you hit $500,000, it's that number forever, essentially, unless the policy is revisited. And this applies not only to football, but basketball or any sporting event. Last year against Alabama in basketball, a lot of our students wanted to storm the court, and our staff did a great job of just educating them. We didn't have to use force. We didn't have to do any of those kind of things. Just, hey, let's act like we've been there. Let's act like we expected to beat Alabama, right? I think they were number 2 in the country.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
At the time. Let's act like we've been there before. And so the field incursion, that may be a fancy word. Let's just say it's storming the field.
Yeah.
And we don't want to have people storm the field from a safety standpoint. Right. The visiting team, the officials, even our players. We know the celebration. We're not trying to be the no fun police and all those kind of things, but it really is a safety issue. And so there's a few changes to it, and we'll continue to educate and promote this. But the biggest thing is, if you storm the field, you're basically giving that opponent $100,000 to $500,000, and I don't think any Aggie wants to pay another team because we beat them. And so that's going to be talked about throughout the year, and we'll continue to remind people of this. And it's a policy really for the safety aspect of it. And we actually have to do some more things around securing the visiting team, and there's some parameters that are in place as well that we have to sign off on to make sure we have the right kind of plan. And so that's a new element of this as well. So I'm sure people love that conversation as well.
You're right.
But if you weren't aware of
it,
and we get a big win here, and you say the check goes where?
Yeah.
Exactly. let's go undefeated at home, but let's act like we know what we're doing and do things right. And I know Aggies will. So.
One more thing as far as Saturday, and really this would go for the first month of the season. We have 3 home games in September.
No doubt.
Texas is hot in summer, no shocker there, but this one's been excessive. The heat.
Yeah.
Be prepared, folks. Be prepared, 12th man. As a lot of times you send this message, but it rings especially true with the way this summer has gone.
Yeah, I think we're recording this on a Tuesday. Yesterday was the first day under 100 here in Bryan College Station for 50 straight days.
I put on a sweater.
This morning, yesterday morning and this morning was nice outside.
But a couple of weeks
50
ago,
straight
we
days.
hit Bryan College Station's all-time record.
That's right. So it has been an unprecedented month of August and really July. And so we expect that same thing to continue really for the whole month of September based on the weather forecast. So there's a lot of things that are already in place around Kyle Field to help our fans stay safe, but we're adding some extra elements getting ready for the week. And so the first thing is just hydrate all week. Hydrate all week as a fan, drink plenty of water. Thursday, Friday, Saturday throughout the game. Obviously the sunscreen, the loose-fitting clothing, all those things that we're going to remind. We also have 4 public cooling areas that are available that if you have an issue, you can go into one of those. We have first aid stations as well. We're actually going to be parking some extra buses outside the first aid station on the east side of Kyle Field for extra overflow. We'll be able to utilize the Hall of Champions as a cooling space as well. That's a big space that we have here within our stadium. And then just a ton of water is going to be available. First of all, this is a policy for every game. you can bring in a sealed bottle of water into the stadium. It's got to be sealed. Cap's got to be on it, right? It's got to be a new bottle. But that's throughout the whole season, not just when it's heat related. So you can bring that into the stadium. We're also going to have our affiliate organizations. The 12th Man Foundation is leading an effort where we're going to pass out some waters before the game, so you can have that sealed bottle of water going in. And then people need to Google this. Google Water Monster. Mm-hmm. These are these huge containers. Hundreds of gallons of water is in these containers. We're going to have at least 8 of those around the concourses, and that's going to be a free refill. Not only will we have drinking fountains that are available, but also these water monsters that'll be there at least for the first game, maybe the second game as well, because we anticipate this continuing. And then we were trying to get this number. It was it was kind of fun tracking this down. 187,000 bottles of water will be available for sale at concessions for this game. And we'll see what the number needs to be for the Louisiana-Monroe game as well and the Auburn game. But 187,000, more than enough to really fill our concession stands. And there's 434 points of sale inside Kyle Field for water. So, look, water is going to be a big part of it. Bringing in your own bottle is important. Free refills. If somebody has an issue, find somebody that can help you get to first aid. But there's, again, back to that community partnership between EMS, between emergency management, law enforcement, our staff. We want to make sure that people are just educated about do the right things around the heat and protect yourself. And if you don't feel like coming and you maybe can't handle it, then hey, stay at home and watch it on TV because we want people to be safe first and foremost. So there's just going to be a lot around the heat, and I think temperatures expected 103, 104, somewhere in there. 6 o'clock game will help a little bit, but we know that sun, especially on that east side for our students, will be hot, hot and front and center, and we just want people to be safe all throughout the game and in probably into September.
Probably
we're going to be dealing
with
all of this.
Yes,
so.
we will.
A lot going on around game day.
Yeah, that's what we needed to cover as far as coming to Kyle Field on Saturday for the Aggies in New Mexico to kick off the season. But we unpacked it. We unpacked what we needed.
There's a lot
for the opener. And in just a moment, we'll get to a few of the 12th man's questions that were submitted. But we wanted to do this first. You keep kind of hearing that phrase that this is almost like the final season of college football as we know it. We know realignment is just really shaking things up, and it may not be done as we speak right here. There could be more of these West Coast schools going east.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Right.
But for you, a little bit of the state of college football, state of college athletics as we have an athletic season underway, as we know. Soccer and volleyball competing right now. Cross country also gets underway this weekend, as does football. But college football, college athletics, kind of your state of where we are as we know that things are happening at a rapid pace.
Yeah, it's really been the talk of the offseason when you think about it, from NIL conversations to congressional efforts that we're trying to get some uniform rules and laws in place around what coverage we can provide for our student athletes. And then you throw in realignment. I think if you look at next year's lineup, you're going to have conferences that may have 18 programs in it. The SEC is going to be at 16. The Big 12, I think, will be at 16. The Pac-12, who knows what happens out there, out west, and do they merge with the Mountain West? And so it's really a situation where, one, if you're at Texas A&M and you're the SEC, you're stable, right? We're in a stable environment where we don't have to panic. We don't have to react. The move to the SEC back in 2011 continues to pay dividends in terms of stability of college athletics and stability of Texas A&M. And so that part of it, you're fortunate that we have great leadership in the SEC. We're the largest university in the SEC. We're in the state of Texas. We have a big brand. We're going to be on the right side of the equation no matter what happens. The sad part is we're losing a lot of our identity in terms of the makeup of college athletics. We need it to be geographically competitive. We need West Coast programs to be competitive. We need folks in the Midwest. We need folks in the South, the East. We need to be competitive across the board, and so we're losing that by these designations of, well, they were a Power 5 conference and now they're not, and that part is unsettling, I think, in a lot of ways for those of us that have been in the industry a long time. It doesn't mean, it has to always remain the same. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about is a competitive landscape that is necessary, I think, to keep the games thriving, the competitive nature thriving. It's really sad that Cal and Stanford may have to look and join a conference that has nothing to do with their geography. That doesn't make any sense, right? We know why they're looking for that stability, but it makes no sense. Right. It makes no sense that 4 teams on the West Coast are going to be playing all the way across the country. But that's the way we are right now. And what I'm looking for in all of this is, how do we get to a model that is sustainable and is legally defensible? Because we have legal threats. That's a whole nother show. We could do a whole nother Yellen review.
Doubt. Yeah.
So how do we get to a model that's sustainable? So all this talk around NIL, we have to be involved in that. But what's a sustainable model? And then can we defend it legally? So we got to get to those elements and make sure that we get to a stable point at some stage. May not happen this year, but hopefully into 2024 we can have some identity around where we are as an industry.
I think we all thought it was going to be seismic and it was going to be one big thing. It's been a bunch of tremors, hasn't it?
That's exactly right.
Athletics?
And that's if you kind of see what might be coming, that's what everybody's anticipating is there going to be a seismic move? Because you do have all these small moves, but nothing big has taken place, right? The NCAA is still in existence, but people are asking, what's the future there? What's the future of super conferences? Those kind of things. And so those things are being – and that would be the seismic move that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't go to sleep at night saying, what's going to change tomorrow when I wake up?
Yeah,
that's right.
That's the pace
that's
that's kind of all going at.
That's right. We're all waiting on the ACC any moment. I mean, when this gets aired, something may have already happened around
dropped,
the ACC.
Right. Yeah, it's going that quickly. So now some questions from the 12th man. And when we announced the return of the Yellen Review this August, it was only minutes later our guy Sutton responded. He was the first question in. He is class of 93. He is from College Station, a great friend of the program, we like to call him. And, I mean, he fired right back when the notice went out. Yellen Review for August returns. Bam, here was his question.
That's right.
And
that's right.
He's going to go to baseball with his question. The redevelopment of Kyle Field was epic in size, Sutton says, and speed without interruption of games. Coach Schloss was super excited recently on TexAgs about the redevelopment plans of Olson Field. When do you plan on rolling those plans out to the 12th man, and when do you think we'll be playing in a new or renovated stadium?
Yeah, the second part of that question is to be determined. Mm-hmm. And whatever happens with Olson Field, Bluebell Park, is it will have to happen in stages. There's no way around it. The seasons, there's not another place to play around Aggie Land, and so we have to stage it around when we do play. We might have to miss a fall practice session, and we could manage that, by going somewhere else. So we don't know exactly when everything would be finished, but we know it'll happen over the course of several years. We do know that part of it. As far as rolling out the plans, very similar to the Centennial campaign, we didn't announce anything publicly until we were pretty far along in a fundraising plan. And I believe the day we announced publicly, we were over $80 million towards a $120 million goal. So you probably won't see a lot of things publicly anytime soon, because we want to make sure we can deliver on the plans. What's the cost of those plans? What are the concepts? Coach Schlossnagel, just like me, super excited, and we got to capture that enthusiasm, but we have to do it the right way. We have to say, here's what they are, here's the concepts, here's what it costs, here's what we believe it costs, here's how much money we think we can raise, here's how much it'll yield in seating revenue, here's what the expansion will mean, and then here's the time frame. And so probably won't have a lot of that out publicly until after this fall into 2024. super excited about what we've seen, similar to what Coach Schlossnagel has laid out. But we've got to have the right sequencing from fundraising to financing to seating plans to expansion. We're trying to get as many seats in there as possible. We don't know what that number means, and we don't know what that would mean for current season ticket holders. So all of those things have to be developed the right way before we can actually go public. Hopefully that's sometime in 2024, but many, many steps to take before we get to that place.
All right.
We're already talking baseball. I love it. It's awesome.
Sutton jumped to baseball. Football game week number 1. Sutton's going over, over to Bluebell Park. But you talked about it, new entrants coming on Saturday at Kyle. Aggies today from Rockwall, Texas, had a question along those lines. Now, he mentioned what was the focus and reasoning behind the choice to pick who you did for the new walkout song. What were the goals you and the artist wanted to reach with it? He's mentioning song here, but there's more to an entrance.
I think that's what sometimes gets lost in all of this is about the entire intro package. This isn't a specific song. It isn't a specific beat. It's the whole package. It's really from the time that the team leaves the locker room. So all of those elements, everything, there's some traditional things, but how the team walks out, what they walk out to, those things are all going to be new. When they hit the field, that's all going to be new. And so it's not a song. We're not walking out to a specific song by any means that somebody can point to. It is the whole intro package. There are musical elements to it, of course, and people seem to focus on that part of it, and they lose, well, what else are they doing? Oh, they're doing some really cool things that are new. We want everybody to focus on the entire intro package. So Aggies today, whatever your first name is, we are not talking about an artist. We're not talking about any of that as we go into this first game. There'll be a time and a place to talk about those things, but it needs to be focused on the entire intro package that people will see for the first time.
Okay. And we started with a lot to unpack about coming to Kyle Field on Saturday. We're going to close with a lot to unpack with Nolan Moore's question here. Class of 22 from Orange, Texas.
Nolan's him and Sutton, I think,
semi-regular at least.
Compete for the most questions.
If Sutton takes a week off, Nolan's
right
going to jump in.
We love Nolan. We love Nolan.
Yeah. So here's what Nolan asks from down there in the Golden Triangle. Will there be any order changes for the beginning of football games? I think singing the war hymn, as he says, dampens the energy from the entrance song at kickoff. Do you plan on changing the order of, and he goes in this order, yell practice, Spirit of Aggieland immediately playing, war hymn next, hype video, entrance song and entrance, and then kickoff to sustain energy from the crowd? Like I said, that back end, a lot to unpack with that order.
We can't move
things.
the kickoff.
Yeah,
that's got to stay
kickoff
there.
is set right by our TV partners.
Hold on a second. Slovanchik's kickoff. I just want to get
there you
that
go.
in.
Okay,
He's preparing. He's preparing.
Got to pay the
I like
bills.
it. Yeah,
got to pay the bills. This is the first time I've really heard anybody talk about the war hymn dampening, the environment, if you will. I mean, there's 100,000 people sawing back and forth, swaying back and forth, and where I sit in the press box, you're up there too.
Yeah,
the press box is literally shaking and swaying. Like, I don't think there's a facility like that in the country anywhere. And so I haven't heard that piece of it where it dampens, the atmosphere right before kickoff. I think our fans love it. It's traditional as part of game day. And so no one's really talked about moving that around or anything like that. Of course, you always evaluate, but how long has that been happening? How long has the war hymn been played right before kickoff? A long time, right? Years and years.
Sure has. Yeah.
So we haven't heard that, and all I know is everybody talks about Kyle Field being one of the best, if not the best, game day atmospheres. We have done some things over the last 4 years to really get people involved throughout the game. If you think about that Alabama game and what that atmosphere was like, you think about last year's LSU game. We've done a lot more to be innovative and creative and using music and using sound throughout the game. And to me, we need to build this new intro. I think we'll build off of that. The war hymn, that's who we are. we're going to saw it off right before kickoff, and then you're going to see a lot of really cool things throughout the game to keep people involved. We're revamping the layout of the ribbon boards and the video boards to be more, I think interactive and have people see things a little bit differently and better. So we're always tweaking, but this part of it, 100,000 people swaying, no one else in the country has that right before kickoff. So
the number
I think it's pretty
of
cool.
phones that are out filming one another is something special for that.
It's loud, and again, it's unison.
Yeah.
Everybody's together.
Yeah.
That's hard to replicate.
Yeah.
Nobody else even comes close to that atmosphere.
Just the way the 12th man is in their seats, and you make a great point. The moment they see that team come out of their locker room and head to that tunnel, that becomes that sequence.
That's right.
Right? Of
That's
where
right.
this place flat
doubt.
out rocks
No doubt.
before the kickoff.
So there's a lot going on.
I think we unpacked it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
I think we got to about as much as we could here. We have you prepared for Saturday night. We discussed a little bit of the state of college football and athletics. We've got the 12th man's questions here.
And we didn't
think we
get
wrapped
into
it up.
Cross country and soccer and volleyball and all of those sports are all starting
It's
their
like you say,
seasons,
Happy
and
New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's in August when
Here
you
we
say
go.
Happy New
Speaking
Year.
of atmospheres, Ellis Field.
Fish camp
Official.
Fish
night
camp.
on
Fish camp
Saturday.
night was
Terrific.
fantastic.
That's
Yeah.
right. I can't wait to see the crowds when our volleyball team comes back
Great
and has
start.
their regular season home opener. I
Yeah.
think people are really
The
excited
Jamie
about what they're
Morrison
seeing.
era
Right.
is
That's
underway.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Appreciate
it.
it.
Thanks to everybody for helping us make this show happen.
Yep.
Matt Simon, Tyler Pigg, Jackie Jeffries, Thomas Burns, and Johnny Kerr. For Andrew Monaco and Ross Bjork, I'm Will Johnson. The Yellen Review is back. We'll see you in September.